Hey there, you beautiful people. This is Mark Siegel, your resident ed tech specialist here. I'm trying something a little bit new. I'm going to put myself on the camera and I'm going to throw myself down in the corner here. And I'm going to show you today a Jamboard versus Google Slides. Okay, so Google Jamboard is a part of the Google Apps suite. So if you are Google Apps for Education, you can find this in your Google Drive. You just have to click New, come down to More, and then you will see Google Jamboard. Now, the cool thing about Google Jamboard is it is a online digital whiteboard for your use in teaching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a lesson in Google Jamboard. I'm going to try to build the exact same lesson in Google Slides, and I'm going to show you side by side why one has benefits over the other and when you should use either. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little title first. So Jamboard versus Google Slides. So this way my two files are the same name. Now you'll see when you pop in on a Jamboard, it's a very basic whiteboard format. You can change the background, so you can give it a color, blue or black. You can give it a grid or lines pattern or dots. So you can see it there. There's a nice grid, or here's a light blue graph. I happen to like the black background only because I like writing in nice bright colors. And of course, if you don't like it and you want to go to white, you can just clear it and everything on the screen is going to go away. Down the side, you'll see your different tools. So you have some pen tools, markers, highlighters, a paintbrush, etc. You can paint in different colors. I am going to do this in yellow, and I am going to use the marker feature, which is just, it looks thick, but it's not as thick as you think it is. I'll draw in your eraser, obviously your select tool, a sticky note feature, which I'll get to in a second. You can add images, you can add in shapes, and of course you can have text boxes. And one thing that's going to be super cool is a laser pointer is here too, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to pull up a very basic chemistry question, and I'm going to show you some ways that in a virtual environment I'm going to try and do this where I wouldn't necessarily do it this way in my classroom. So I'm going to start with my marker, and I'm going to draw out a reaction. So I'm going to draw CH4. Now I am doing this with a mouse. Obviously, if you have a tablet, this is going to look so much prettier. But I'm doing it this way on purpose because I want you to see kind of its good and its bads. Okay, so this is a very basic combustion of methane. You see this on your stove in your kitchen. Methane's burning with oxygen, you get carbon dioxide and H2O. Okay, so something that I might do with my chemistry students in a virtual environment is I might say, okay, let's try to balance this using the molecules. So what I'm going to do is, so I added some, I wrote some stuff out, but I want them to be able to add in some molecules. So let's see if I can find a methane molecule. So I just am inserting an image. Obviously, there's an image button on the side. I did a Google image search. If you have them on your computer, you can do that too. Let's see if I can find a and this is the one I want to use because I know there's water molecules that are out there. So with this, I can now duplicate it if I want to. I can delete it, and obviously I can resize it. So I am going to resize it to this. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up, and I'm going to find molecules to go along with these other things as well. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to show with my students here is I'm trying to do it in both a written form and a visual form, like how the molecules will actually work out. Now what I want my students to do is balance it. So I want them to be able to move these images around to the correct locations and duplicate them if need be. Now, if I'm giving this as a lesson to my students, there's a couple things. I know I can obviously record my screen and I can share my screen through a webcam or Screencastify if I'm recording it, or Google Meet or anything like that. So I can walk them through. What's really cool is I don't necessarily have to use my mouse to do everything. The laser pointer is super cool. So if I said, okay, let's look at the oxygen molecule, the laser pointer works really well because it doesn't leave a circle around it, okay, like that. Or if I really wanted to highlight something, I could actually come in, put in a shape, and highlight a particular shape, item, like this. Okay, that is just playing around with the settings. I don't really like that, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so I can, if I'm teaching live, I can bring in the laser pointer and I can do it like that, which is super cool. Such a great feature of the Jamboard. Now, this is me teaching from here. Notice that in the upper corner, there's also a share button. Now, when I click this share button, I can copy this link and I can put this into my Google Classroom for students to log into. Now, here's what I want to see. So you can see editors, viewers, etc. So what I want to do is I'm going to change this real fast. So you can see only people with added can get it. I'm going to change this to anyone with the link, and I want this to be viewer only. Okay, I'm sorry. I want this to be editor because I want my students to be able to edit this if need be. So if they were viewing it, they would see just how I change it. But if I allow them to edit it, they can add their own things. I'm going to show you both why it's good and bad. So I'm going to send this link. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to put this in a new window. So give me a second. I'm going to shrink everything down, and everything's going to change. Hold on. And the magic of editing. Ready, set, go. Okay, so you don't get confused. The right-hand side is me, and you can see here's my laser pointer going, and on the left-hand side you will see, and that's what the students will see. So you can actually teach this through, for virtual students by using the laser pointer, and whatever you do on your side will appear on their side, slightly delayed, but it'll be there. Now, what's really cool about is it from the student side is they can now manipulate this image as well. So if I said to them, okay, now here's what I want you to do. Johnny, I want you to get the right number of oxygens to be on both sides. Well, Johnny can actually come in here. He can duplicate this image, and he can say, okay, well, I know that if I'm balancing it, I need, this many molecules. So you can actually have the students interact with the Jamboard live. And because everyone can see it at the same time, they'll all see the changes that Johnny is making. You can do it from your side as well. If you said, no, Johnny, you need, 2 more molecules, or one, I'm sorry, you have one too many sets of oxygens, boom, you can delete it, and you can see that Johnny's side and the student side will change at the same time. So super cool features of Jamboard, being able to go back and forth like this. Like I said, you can add images, you can insert things from your computer, you can do a bunch of different things. However, notice that there's going to be a lot that you want to do, but you might not be able to do because it is a very limited whiteboard. Think of it in your classroom. Your classroom has a whiteboard. It only does so much, okay? So don't expect this to be able to do everything. It can only do very little things. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out is the sticky note feature, which I thought was super cool. So you can leave notes for the students as well. So what's cool is you can leave a sticky note and then position the sticky note somewhere on the screen to give them reminders. Okay, you can also leave a text box if you wanted to and put a text box in here, but I thought the sticky note was kind of cool because what you can do is if you're leaving them as editors, if you leave a bunch of them along, so like step 1, step 2, step 3, when they finish them, they can delete those sticky notes, and they know they've gotten that done, and you as a teacher know that that's been done as well. So it's kind of a cool little feature within the sticky notes. Okay, so this is the Jamboard side by side. So again, this is the teacher side, this is the student side. This open on a Jamboard. By the way, Jamboards are digital whiteboards, are like physical whiteboards that Google makes as well. So you can actually make this on your computer and send it to the Jamboard, and the Jamboard, it'll just appear on the Jamboard. Sort of think of it like a very cool smartboard type of situation. Unless your super awesome school has a Jamboard, this button is not going to be for you. Oh, by the way, there are 3 dots here in the corner. You can always download this as a PDF. You can make copies of it. Rename it if you need to, obviously, and you can add more than one slide. So you can set up a whole bunch of slides all the way through, assign different ones to different students, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. You can put their sticky notes with their names on the top of it. So a bunch of different options you have for setting up your Jamboards, and obviously as you update it on your side, it will automatically update on the student side as well. Okay, now let's go to a Google Slides and see what the Google Slides would look like in the same situation. Okay, so I made a quick Google slide. I haven't done anything to it because I'm going to build it the same way I just did with the Jamboard. So I'm going to change my background color. I'm going to change it to black. same as I did before. Now, here's my first problem. You'll notice that on the Jamboard, I was able to draw. I cannot draw on a Google Slide. So here I'm going to have to insert text. Okay, and I want to make sure my text is a bright color. Previously I was using like an orangey, it was like a yellow, and I'm going to have to make it big because I want to make sure the students can see it. So let's make it like 48. It was CH4 plus. So you're already seeing one of the issues with the Google Slides is there's typing. Now, if you're a great typer, no problem. The Jamboard, the downside was you really need to have a tablet PC. I'm sorry, some sort of pen feature. You know, like mine is a tablet PC. I have a Surface, so I have a fancy pen that goes along with it. So if I was doing this for my students, I'd be writing on my screen with my pen. I'm doing it for you, so I've got multiple screens going on, and I want to make sure that you are seeing it the way you might have to use it in your classroom with, you know, like a wireless mouse. So I've got my equation here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to insert those pictures of all those different molecules. So give me a second. I'm going to snap back, and all those molecules will be there for you. Here we go. Let's insert some images, and away we go. Okay, so I set up the molecules the same way that I did before, just as I started. Now, I can do the same thing because now I'm familiar with Google Slides. I can do the same thing I did before. I can share this to my students. I can put this in Google Classroom, and I can post it as a editable or non-editable document so that they have a chance to edit it. If I want to follow the same methods, simple. I just post it. All students can edit this document. I can have them do the same thing. I can also present this on my Google Meet. So I can post this on my Google Meet, and I'm good to go because the students will be able to follow along at home. I'm presenting my screen. Now, the difference between the two, Google Slides, I will have to present my screen. In Jamboard, whatever I do here instantly appears on their end. They just have to open the Jamboard. So it's a slight difference between the two. Now, what's the benefit? The Jamboard takes less bandwidth. So when you are presenting your screen, it's going to, if you're on a Chromebook, it's going to slow down your Chromebook, and it's going to take more bandwidth off your computer, which means your Wi-Fi is going to be more stressed. So the Google Slides might be a little bit more difficult if you're trying to teach from the Google Slide. Okay, so that is the benefit of Jamboard. Also, you get that pen feature in the Jamboard, which you do, I'm sorry, that laser pointer feature in the Jamboard, which you do not get here. You also don't get a pen here. Now, could I do this as a presentation too? Yes. However, the students won't be able to manipulate it, and I won't be able to manipulate it either. I'd have to plan out my presentation and have everything appear as I tab through and advance to the next animation or next slide. So I can do the same thing as I did before. I can ask the students to duplicate it. I can go through the whole activity. Now, here's the benefit of Google Slides. If I like this, I can put these images off to the side, and the students can add them as they want to. So this is the benefit of the Google Slides versus the Jamboard. The Jamboard, they have to manipulate everything that's here. Now, why do I say one is better than another? Here's something that's super cool. I can copy all of this, and I can insert this into my master. So I chose the blank feature. And so when I do this, automatically, anytime I use the blank, this will be my background. So watch this. I'm going to delete these, and they automatically are there. Now here's the cool thing. My students can no longer edit the original pieces that I put in. Because they're part of the master, they're part of the background. And now that they're part of the background, they are not editable. However, they can still do this. So I can have them have an interactive activity in which they have to drag onto the screen the correct number of each molecule, and I can have them insert text boxes to represent the balanced chemical equation. And I can tell them, okay, I want you to put your answer in a different color. Let's see if I can get this to manipulate. There we go. And I can tell them I want your answer in a different color so I can see what you've worked on. I can do the same thing all the way down, and I can build an entire slideshow, one for each student, so that they can manipulate themselves and see how they did versus their friends. They can try a variety of different examples, etc. So both systems have great possibilities depending on what you're trying to accomplish with your lesson. Okay, so you can manipulate pictures, you can insert, add pictures. Like I said, in the Jamboard, because the students can edit what's here, they can physically go in and make the changes that they need to. You may not want to do that in a slides because you don't want them to delete something that's there. You can also leave the same type of sticky note feature. Now there's no sticky note in Google Slides, but you can add a little text box, and you can type in the text box. And you can change the size of the font, and you can leave the instructions along the bottom. So like I said, this is going to be a personal preference. It's going to be one versus another depending on how you want to build the activities. But there's a lot of features in both that really will help you. If you're teaching live, you may not want to teach live from a Google Slide. You may want to do it from the Jamboard. If you're setting it up with an interactive activity where you want the students dragging and dropping things, then in this case you might want to go with a Google Slide, especially if you want to add an extra layer of creativity for the students to be able to change more of the colors, more of the shapes, all those kinds of things. So hopefully this gave you some suggestions on different things you can use in your classroom. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up, hit the subscribe over on the side, and I will see you beautiful people on our next tech tip. Have a great day.